Everyone has spoken and finally declared the best Batman Arkham game. And by everyone I mean 50 people voted in a poll I put up a couple of months back. Thanks people who participate on my posts and also my comment sections and also my like buttons. This one was just interesting and I felt like talking about it for funsies for a couple minutes. So to start, I deliberately was a bit open-ended and mostly curious to see what you guys enjoy playing. It's not actually a real, strict metric. I worded and emphasized it, what is your personal favorite Arkhamverse game? Because you can get more personal enjoyment out of something that may be technically less quality, and vice versa. For example, I enjoy The Dark Knight Rises more than Batman Begins, but the latter is definitely a more polished and cohesive product than the former, and I have no qualms admitting that. Jesus, my dream is that one day I'll find an Assassin's Creed Unity fan who is willing to just make the statement that they simply like the game, without trying to deny the issues that ruin it for the rest of us. I literally had an interlocutor recently who argued that no, redundantly repeating nearly identical plot points about dead fathers, while then failing to resolve one of two redundant dead fathers is not bad writing. He tried to accuse me of having bad media literacy and no grasp on writing, when practically all I do is spend my free time on media analysis and writing about said writing, and really got under my skin, and then wouldn't engage with my arguments, and just said I was wrong by default because I'm a YouTuber. That was such a bad faith argument, I don't even know why I try talking to people online half the time. I should also stop whining on here about online conversations. It'll make me look insecure. Oh yeah, my poll. I also worded it as the favorite Arkhamverse game, and not Arkham series game, because I was curious what would happen if I included series spin-off Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Arkham City takes a clear lead, with Asylum and Knight actually nearly the same as each other. Suicide Squad ended up higher than I expected by a bit, and poor Origins had the fewest votes. Though I have several factors I think that caused that. I'll break it down at the end because it is probably the part of this conversation I find most interesting. To start, City at number 1 is not surprising. Generally, the fanbase tends to veer that way. It makes sense, too. That one expanded all the gameplay elements in such a dramatic fashion, made free-flow combat go from a cool but limited system to a system actually as deep and on par with the Predator stealth, and just had several genuinely unexpected and memorable sequences. Some of its detractors online get really pissed that City is so often considered the best, usually falling back on weird pacing as the consistent complaint, but I think that gets just a bit silly. City balances so much well, with such thoughtful design and so few issues, that I genuinely think it earns its spot at the top. Knight was just barely ahead of Asylum next, just by one vote, and I'm not surprised by that either. While its issues were more noteworthy than City, it's just such a great game, with nearly all of its gameplay mechanics. I ranked it as my favorite PS4 game. This version of free-flow combat is my all-time favorite combat system in any game, and the Predator stealth is peak stealth game design, where there are so many nuanced options for you and genuinely adaptive enemies to keep you on your toes. I don't think anyone is going to get too mad at this one being high on the rankings. I was delighted to see Asylum hold its own so well. Most of its downsides are really just a matter of the series having to start somewhere. Of course, its simpler gameplay mechanics will be outclassed by highly thoughtful sequels with additional years of development on top of what they'd already figured out in the first one. It still has such a great vibe, where you can feel the darker, sicker side of the Asylum saturate every element of design in a very Grant Morrison-esque, dark, sacred architectural geometry kind of mindset. Like, things should feel wrong going through the grounds of Arkham Asylum, and even though this is so vastly different from the graphic novel Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth, Rocksteady nailed that experience from reading the book impeccably. And even within those simpler gameplay systems, there is still a refined elegance. I replayed all of the challenge maps with Batman and Joker recently to start using footage for my YouTube shorts, and there is a genuine art that makes combat and stealth still so wonderful, even in their initial version. Suicide Squad, I think, looks more shocking than it actually is here when you consider the context. I posted the poll when the game was still brand new, so a lot of people were still playing the story early on, lacking the full context and suffering less from the tedium and repetitive mission design that plagues the post-story content. In that stage of the experience, the combat and the mobility are still interesting enough. I strongly suspect this number would go down quite a ways if I posted this poll now, as the current lack of story resolution and the abysmal first season of additional content have left a lot of people feeling burned and betrayed even when they were the stronger supporters previously. So last, poor Arkham Origins. While it was the most contentious of the Arkham games at the time, and certainly the least polished experience, I don't think that's what's happening here. I think we're just seeing the natural result of not having a modern port of this game. Since this one never got re-released, and since PlayStation is much less open to backwards compatibility that far, younger fans simply don't have as many options to play it without spending more money to get old hardware or pay for a gaming PC. Additionally, I've talked about the other three more on here than that one, between Asylum and City already having their briefish history videos out, and Knight having one of my biggest old videos from way back when I did a how-to for Croc's boss fight in the Iceberg Lounge challenge map, not to mention its prevalence in the bad fan theories I've debunked recently. And so, returning viewers are already a bit more likely to have been filtered for those games than for Origins. However, its episode of A Briefish History is coming out soon. Maybe that will change. What do you guys think about all this? What are your specific reasons for your preferences? Let me know in the comments. I would love to talk about this stuff. Please try to be better interlocutors than the Assassin's Creed Unity guy. Also, make sure to subscribe if you're new and you want to catch the Origins episode coming out in the near future. If you haven't seen them, the briefish history videos I make are always my big productions I go all in on, both for the Arkhamverse and for Assassin's Creed, just because those are my passion projects. Ring the bell if it'll help you remember. I'm genuinely excited to have that one ready for you.